Hello everyone, in today's video we will dig deeper into the cultural conflict between the East and the West on the topic of aging. Should we live with our children or live alone in old age? As we grow older, the question that quietly follows us is not just how long we will live, but how we will live the years that remain. Among many decisions that come with aging, one of the most personal and often the most difficult is this: should we live with our children or should we live on our own? At the first glance, the answer may seem obvious. In our Vietnamese culture, many believe that old age naturally belongs under the same roof as one's children. After all, when the body weakens and illness becomes more frequent, having family nearby offers comfort and security. Living with children can mean share meals, laughter from the grandchildren, and reassurance that someone will be there when help is needed. In many cultures, especially in Vietnamese traditions, this is seen as a beautiful expression of filial piety, children caring for their aging parents. But life is rarely as simple as tradition suggests, especially when your kids grow up in the Western teaching is to be independent, to be successful, and most of them don't even know what filial piety means. In each generation lives at a different rhythm. The elderly often long for quiet, while the younger generation is caught in the rush of modern life, work responsibilities, raising children, and constant pressure. What once felt like closeness can slowly turn into distance, even under the same roof. There are moments when parents sit at the dinner table surrounded by family, yet feel strangely invisible. There are days when living in a joint home feels less like belonging and more like a burden. And perhaps the deepest pain is not physical discomfort, but a subtle realization that once present no longer carries the same meaning. This is what we might call loneliness in the crowd, a kind of loneliness that feels heavier than solitude. You are not alone, yet you feel unseen. Voices fill the house, but your heart has no place to rest. On the other hand, living alone carries its own challenges, but also its quiet dignity. An elderly person who lives independently often retains control over their daily life. They wake when they wish, eat what they like, and move through the day at their own pace. There is no need to adjust, no fear of being a burden, no silent hesitation before doing something small. This independence brings something deeply valuable in the final chapter of life: freedom. And along with freedom comes self-respect. There is an unspoken truth that many hesitate to admit. When parents become completely dependent on their children, the relationship can change in subtle ways. It is not necessarily because the children lack love, but because long-term caregiving can quietly wear down even the most devoted hearts. Small signs, an impatient tone, a distracted response, a moment of neglect can leave lasting wounds in a sensitive heart of an aging parent. Older people are not usually afraid of death. What they fear is becoming a burden. For this reason, as long as health allows, maintaining some level of independence can actually protect the beauty of family relationships. Sometimes a little distance preserves love better than constant closeness. As an old saying, quote, "We live in separate homes and we die in separate graves." End quote. When I think about old age, I don't think of theories or advice first. I think of my father and my mother. My father lived to be 92 years old. My mother lived to be 87. In her final years, she was bedridden, and it was my father, already an old man himself, who took care of her. I still see that image so clearly in my mind, a quiet house, no noise, no rush, just two people who had spent a lifetime together, now walking slowly toward the end of that journey, one lying still and the other moving gently around her. My father was not strong in the way young people are strong. His steps were slower, his back slightly bent, his hands no longer steady, but there was a different kind of strength in him, something deeper, something that came from love and responsibility. Every day he took care of my mother. He did not complain. He did not step away. He did not say it was too much. He simply stayed. And my mother, though she could no longer move, though her body has weakened, was not alone. She was still held within the presence of someone who knew her life, her habits, her stories, and her silence. That kind of companionship is not something that can be created in the last moment. It built over years, built over a lifetime through shared struggles, forgiveness, patience, and decision to remain together through everything life brings. Watching them, I began to understand something about aging that no one ever really explains. Growing old is not just about needing help. It's about who is there with you when you need it. Many people ask, should we live with our children when we grow old? Or should we live alone? But my parents show me the different answer. They live together. They did not live with us, their children, but they were never without us either. We came often. We brought food, helped with things around the house, and checked on their health. We were present, but we did not take over their lives. They still had their own space, their own rhythm, their own dignity. My father remained the one who cared for my mother, not because he had to, but because he chose to. Looking back, I realized how important that balance was. If they had depended completely on us, something might have been lost. Their sense of independence, their role in each other's lives, their quiet authority over their own home, and yet, if they had no support at all, the burden would have been too heavy, especially at that age. So they live in between, not alone in the world, but not dependent either. And maybe that is the path I understand now after watching them. When I think about my own later years, I do not imagine moving into my children's home and become part of their daily structure, not because there is no love, but because I have seen how important it is to keep a sense of self. What I hope for is something closer to what my parents had, to live with my spouse, to share the same space, the same quiet routines, the same presence, to wake up in the same home, to sit together in silence without needing to fill it with words, to grow on together, not just in age, but in understanding. And when one becomes weaker, the other will be there, just like my father was for my mother. But I also understand something my parents quietly practice. Love does not mean doing everything alone. There should be support from children, but not dependence. A visit, a phone call, a helping hand when needed. Not a life where we wait for our children to take care of everything, but a life where we still carry ourselves as much as we can and accept help with gratitude, not expectation. Because there is a difference between being cared for and losing oneself. I have also come to see that loneliness is not always about being physically alone. My parents were not lonely. Even in the quiet house, even those slow days, there was something full between them, a presence, a connection. I have seen people surrounded by family yet still feel invisible, unheard, disconnected. That kind of loneliness is much deeper, much heavier. And I have seen parents, just the two of them, living in a kind of quiet completeness. So for me, the answer is not simple, live with children or live alone. It is to live meaningfully, to live with a person who have walked life with me, to keep the dignity as long as I can, to accept help without becoming dependent, to stay connected but not lose myself. My father gave my mother something I will never forget, not just care but present, not just duty but love that stay until the very end. And in watching him, I learned that growing old is not something to fear if we know how to live it. Not perfectly, not without hardship, but with balance, with awareness, and with the heart that still knows how to stay until the end. Thank you so much, and that is my answer because I know some of you has been asking me talking about this topic. So now that you have my thoughts, if you have any comment, please click and comment underneath so I can give you a reply. Thank you.